Without question, raiding is the lifeblood of Pokémon GO. It is one aspect of this game that has gotten a lot of players engaged, and it's kind of one of the things that's going to solidify the longevity of this game. Now, there was a lot of improvements to raiding in 2023, but I think there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the improvements that I would like to see with raiding to arrive in 2024. Alright, so with that said, let's get right into it. Alright, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon GO video. Today we're going to be putting a spotlight on raiding. This is one aspect of Pokemon GO that I feel like is one of the most important. The reason for that is because this is the way that they've been introducing a lot of powerful Pokemon, and it's also a way for players to get engaged with this game. It's probably the most important aspect, and I really feel like it needs a lot of love and care in order for Pokemon GO to succeed. Now, like I mentioned at the top of this video, there was a lot of improvements that were made to raid battles over this past year. We got the ready button, we also got a bunch of different kinds of raids with the shadow raids, and I also feel like the raid bosses were pretty decent. Like, we got Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon, as well as Mega Rayquaza this year, and that was extremely exciting. But I think this is not where Niantic should stop. I really do think that in 2024, we need some really exciting raid bosses that have a lot of gameplay implications. The big one that comes to mind is, of course, Arceus. I would love to see Arceus finally introduced into Pokemon GO, and I think 2024 is the perfect year for them to do that. In the beginning of this year, we're of course going to be getting the Pokemon GO Tour Sinnoh event, and that is going to set the stage for the release of Arceus. Considering that Arceus is from the Sinnoh region, I do predict that it is going to make some kind of an appearance during this event, and I think afterwards it's going to be a mainstay in Pokemon GO. There's a lot of different ways Niantic could handle the release of Arceus. I really hope it's not going to be something that you could only get from special research. It would definitely be a great way for them to make a lot of money, as well as breathe a lot of life into Pokemon GO's raiding scene if they were to have it as a raid boss. I know there's going to be a lot of players out there who are going to want all the different variants of this Pokemon, as well as 100% IVs. So yeah, Niantic, this is free money that you can obtain by just releasing this Pokemon in raids. I really hope you do so, because raid bosses need to be exciting if you want people to be engaged with this aspect of the game. Now, another area of improvement that I would like to see is, of course, with remote raids. This is one area of Pokemon GO that has been extremely controversial, especially after Niantic made a lot of updates to it over this past year. Like, they completely nerfed remote raiding and completely destroyed the community based around it. I would like to see them bring a little bit of that back. Like, I think what they need to do is lift a lot of the restrictions, especially the daily remote raid limit and, of course, the cost. I think they went a little overboard with the cost of remote raids this past year, and I think if they eased it up a little bit, it's going to be a lot healthier for the game as a whole. I totally understand their stance on remote raiding, that they want to promote a lot more in-person activities as opposed to having the game be something you play entirely from home, but I think they went a little bit too far. Like, I think what would be really good for the raiding scene is if they were to meet in the middle. Maybe have the limit increased to 10 raids and have the price adjusted even further, because as of right now, it's almost double the cost of what it used to be to do remote raids, and you're only able to do 5 per day. So you could definitely tell that this has cut into Niantic's revenue. I think the best of both worlds would be to increase the limit just a little bit and reduce the price just a little bit. They don't have to go back to the prices that they were before, but they can be a little bit cheaper than what they currently are. Seriously, this was actually one of the ways that a lot of players have been able to meet each other through Pokemon GO. Through remote raids, they've been able to build up a community of themselves, and I really think this is something that Niantic needs to foster rather than fight against in 2024. Now, at the top of this video, I mentioned shadow raids. I actually really enjoyed this mechanic, and I think it was something that was really good for Pokemon GO when it was first released. But I think there's still some work that needs to be done. As of right now, the way shadow raids work is that you have to subdue the shadow raid boss with the use of these gems, and that system has been extremely buggy. I think this is something that Niantic needs to fix right away, because shadow raids can be one of the staple ways of playing Pokemon GO as long as they polish it up. Seriously, shadow Shadow Raids have scratched a long-standing itch that I've had when it comes to Pokemon Go, where I wanted the raiding content to be a lot more difficult, but on top of that being a lot more rewarding. I really felt like Shadow Raids fulfilled that. Like, these raids are definitely a lot harder than general raids, but at the same time, you get some of the most powerful Pokemon that you can get through these raids. This is something that I've been wanting more of when it comes to Pokemon Go. Like, there needs to be a much higher ceiling for hardcore players. If people want to invest a lot of time and effort into Pokemon Go, then I feel like there should be some challenges and rewards that matches that effort, and Shadow Raids definitely fulfills that. So I really hope they continue to build on Shadow Raids, and the best way they could do that is to polish it up. And I do think they should explore having different and unique Shadow legendaries and raid bosses that they could introduce through Shadow Raids. Like, have some things that people would not be expecting, like the Apex Lugia and Apex Ho-Oh. Maybe have versions of that for all of the other Shadow legendaries that we've seen so far. That would be pretty sick, and I think a lot of players would enjoy that. Ultimately, I think Shadow Raids has a lot of potential, and I really hope in 2024 they meet that potential, because this could be a great way for hardcore players to continue to be invested in this game. And then finally, I would like to see a lot of interesting and unique new mechanics that we could see in raid battles. Like, there's a lot of things that they could do. I feel like when it comes to what team owns that raid battle, or maybe like what weather it is, like there's a lot of stuff where it just boosts the damage or the amount of premier balls you get at the end of the raid. I think there's a lot more they could do with this sort of stuff. Like, it would be really interesting if there was a Valor controlled gym, for example, and if the majority of players are Valor players, then there's going to be some sort of unique buff for all of those players. Stuff like that is things they could explore, and I think it would be very beneficial for Pokemon Go, and it would encourage community-based play as well. Kind of like what they did with party play. Like, I like the idea of there being something that you can gain if you do it in a coordinated way. Like, I really like the idea of you gaining extra rewards for defeating the raid boss in a certain period of time, or maybe you could get extra rewards if you fulfill certain conditions that will restrict you as a player but will be a risk-reward kind of situation. Like, there are players out there who will challenge themselves with raid battles by trying to solo them, or only doing duos for super hard raid bosses, or maybe they will use a team of all unique Pokemon. Like, there's a lot of cool things that Niantic could reinforce and give players rewards for doing these sort of challenges. Like, I really cannot see the harm of them doing that, and I think it would be really beneficial for Pokemon Go and add a little bit of spice to the gameplay. So yeah, overall, I think raid battles are in a pretty good place. I mean, aside from the remote raid pass nerf, I think raids were flourishing in 2023. They made a lot of positive changes, and I really do think they need to reinforce a lot of those positive changes rather than going against the grain and doing a lot of things that are unpopular. Seriously, remote raiding was a core aspect of Pokemon Go, and I feel like after they nerfed it, it's become a detriment to this game, and I really think they should avoid making decisions like that, and instead do a lot of the things that was very positive for Pokemon Go's raiding scene. The ready button was a really good thing. What other quality of life improvements could they make? These are some of the things that I would like to see them think about when it comes to Pokemon Go's raiding scene in 2024. As long as they're supporting the players will continue playing the game. But if they go against the players, then people are going to stop playing the game. It's as simple as that. So raiding is something that is very crucial to Pokemon Go, and I really hope Niantic is fully aware of that and they make those positive changes. But yeah, I would love to know what you think about raiding down below. Are you someone who thinks raid battling is pretty much dead in the water right now because of remote raids? Or are you someone who has been enjoying raids over this past year and would like to see more improvements? Definitely share those thoughts down below and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be insightful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to all the members of my Patreon family. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then make sure you go and check out the links in the description below. For every single member of my Patreon family, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. Also, if you want to support my channel without spending any money, you could always do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula, and I'm on these following platforms. Alright, and that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.